when things got too good, it felt like, wait, this doesn't happen. This doesn't happen. You can't have good love. You can't have good connection. You can't have good finances, good family, all at the same time.
Right? We're talking about literally every day deciding, hey, is my cup full or am I working from deficit?
But I think it's important to note that a woman's body and nervous system does not turn on if her hypervigilance is on. What is up, family? We are here today with another episode of The Bridge to Love. And what are we talking about today, Preston?
So today we are talking about the 4 healthy habits of couples that actually work. And let me just start by saying you're going to want to stick around because number 4 is super juicy and might trigger some of you in a good way and a challenging way. And
well, I would like to say that a lot of the lists, especially the ones that kind of we came up on and learned through, felt very much like an old school model of relating. It felt like it worked for the more traditional types of relationships and not this modern version of relationship that we're in now.
Yeah.
We need the upgraded version.
Facts. And, we build on greatness. And
we sure do, yeah.
The first one, and we'll go right into it, which is in many ways the most important one, is healthy couples regulate before they relate.
Yep.
What do we mean by regulate? We mean they personally attune to my body, my energy body, what's going on for me. Because one of the biggest crimes against people we love is putting unnecessary energy towards them that isn't for them.
Yeah, so said another way, that could look like I am angry. I'm resentful. I'm in my fight response and I've got that mobilized energy coming up. If I take the old advice of like, just communicate with your partner, but I'm communicating from resentment and anger in the body, that unsafe body is coming towards my partner.
Yes.
And we, as animals, as mammals, we happen to co-regulate each other whether we mean to or not. It just happens. And so if I'm bringing an unsafe body to a conversation, I'm going to be met with a mammal that's going, whoa, this person doesn't feel safe.
Correct.
So now you're on edge, kind of like hypervigilant around what's happening here. And we're not actually relating.
Here's the tricky thing. Most of the relationship advice was sort of set in stone before we started studying nervous systems.
Oh, 100%.
And before we understood that a large portion of the communication that's occurring is not our actual words.
No, and it's communication coming from the survival center of the brain.
That
versus the learning center of the brain. And if you think of the survival center, that's the amygdala, that's the fight, flight, freeze, and appease responses that are just solely focused on ourself. They're focused on survival. They're focused on being right, because right means safe, right? But when our bodies are in this like tight, constricted survival mode, it actually turns off the executive functions of the brain. That's our prefrontal cortex. That's all the good stuff. That's creativity, curiosity, that's higher thinking, that's thinking macro and wide and holding a vision and having reasoning skills. I think that is fundamental to be in relationship, is having access to the prefrontal cortex.
facts.
But if we are in an unsafe body, we do not have access, and you can't talk yourself into it. You have to regulate the body into it.
Facts. You know what's interesting, having 4 little beautiful children who fight us on brushing their teeth. Fight us on everything. But one of the things that they fight us on is brushing their teeth. And, explaining to a 4-year-old that there's a certain level of hygiene that we take care of every day so that we don't cause problems later on. We don't want our teeth to rot. We don't want nerve damage. There's a lot that can go wrong if we're not taking care of our bodies.
Yeah.
And to me, the same is true in relationship. When I'm coaching men, I'm constantly explaining to them that I clear my channel as much as humanly possible so that you and our children don't receive anger and rage and resentment and bitterness that came from something else.
Yeah.
From
That's big.
traffic or from a stressed out day at work or whatever the case may be. And so, number one, healthy couples regulate before they relate, and not just during fights, not just
No,
big
especially
moments.
not.
Yes, right? We're talking about literally every day deciding, hey, is my cup full or am I working from deficit?
Yeah. Am I in survival mode right now? Am I just getting through life, or am I thriving through life?
That
And that's a question that if we ask it honestly, I think a lot of people will be like, damn, I think I'm surviving.
facts.
You know, and that would be okay. That would be understandable. We live in a crazy world. If you're on social media and you watch the news, or you're attuned to anything that's happening in modern society, you should be slightly dysregulated. Like, it would be healthy for you to be slightly dysregulated, because the world's a scary place right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean we have to fall victim to that dysregulation and bring that into our lives. And so let's talk about what regulation looks like, because I think now in our, bite-sized information economy, people have this idea that regulation is calm.
Mm-hmm.
And while calm can be a part of it, regulation is really about bringing the body back to homeostasis. And the process of regulation can look very different than just calm. It can be down regulation tools. So if you're really activated and heightened, that could be like bringing the energy down through breath or slow movement or meditation. But it could be discharging the energy too when the energy is really heightened, which could look activating. It could be an anger release. It could be jumping. It could be dancing. It could be swimming. It could be running. It could be screaming into a pillow and beating your mattress. It could look a million different ways. Mm-hmm. But the tool is tuning into the body enough to go, okay, what do I feel like I need to do that I'm putting a damper on right now? Mm-hmm. And what would I usually bring to my partner and throw at them? Mm-hmm. How can I take care of that responsibly and allow that wave to move in my own energy, in my own space? And then when I let that wave move, then I come to my partner with clean energy. Now, the reverse, because this is the obvious one, if you're really heightened and you're in that fight mode of activated energy, but what if, because I know many of my female clients are definitely in this stage, you're kind of disconnected and frozen and checked out, and you're in more of a freeze mode where you're apathetic and kind of like disassociated from the relationship, and you don't really care. That's dysregulated too. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. I think if you're in some form of checked outness or freeze, one of the most important things to do is find your aliveness.
Yep.
Find your aliveness. Activate and do things that make your heart smile on purpose, more often than not, as a gift back to your partner, back to your friends and family, back to your children.
And ultimately back to yourself.
And back to yourself. That.
Yay for aliveness for ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah, it is interesting. I think a lot of things come down to demonstration. Most of us have not seen healthy demonstrations of people who are in their aliveness, in their bigness, in their flow, in their artistry, and gifting it to their partner and gifting it to the world, and being abundant and grounded and dope and fashionable and all the things. Yeah. We kind of have things in buckets. We either are like yoni egg women who are like, and we're making all the sounds, which is fantastic. Mm. Or we're like corporate structure women, or we're like beat your chest, overly toxic men, or we're checked out super nice guy dudes who have no backbone. There's like all these little things, pockets that we see, but
very binary.
Yes, we rarely see integrated, like,
wholeness.
I am all
that
energy.
Like, I think a lot of people, I know, again, a lot of the high-performing, successful women I work with, myself included, used to have this story of like, well, I just don't have time for that. Like, sounds great, sounds nice. Those women must be taken care of by somebody else because I got to pay some bills. Mm-hmm. I got to make shit happen. And the women who are, fully in their feminine and can't get anything done, they're often like, oh, well, I don't really have space for that. Like, I don't really have the energy for that. And so we play this game of, well, I'm not that. but we are actually all of it.
All of it.
And that's really what I think sets us apart in our work is we work with the whole human. We don't turn off any aspects of the human. We work with rage. We work with sexuality, we work with aliveness, we work with grief, and all of it matters. We work with ambition and grit and go, and we work with slowing down and spirituality. And all of that matters to the human. And I think there's a lot of people living in the deficit of feeling the ache of like, I'm missing parts of myself. Like there's parts of me that aren't online. And you know, I hate to say this, but I think a lot of people who feel that ache feel like this underlying current of dissatisfaction in their life. And then they look at their partner and it's like, it must be you.
Yeah. I just need a new partner. That's it.
Right.
You know?
It's got to be you. That's why I'm dissatisfied.
Facts.
Not because, couldn't possibly be because that there's aspects of myself and my wholeness that are missing.
Yeah.
Just to tie this all up in a nice bow, for habit number 1, it's really about asking, are we safe enough to hear each other? Not, am I right or are you wrong, but are we safe enough to hear each other? And when we come from that attitude, we're really coming from a team of like, hey, I'm looking out for you. I'm looking out for me. I'm looking out for us. And so if I'm feeling my partner dysregulated, instead of going into that defense, can I regulate in the moment to see, oh, my partner's hurting. Oh, my partner feels unsafe. It's like, hey, I can see this is really challenging for you. What do you need right now?
Yes.
And try and go right into safety as much as we can.
Huge. Absolutely huge. Let's go to number 2, which is they name the pattern, not the person.
Yeah, this one is so big because most people are personalizing every single fight. They're personalizing every single fight. You're so angry. You're so reactive. You're not doing this. You said that wrong. You're being defensive, whatever it is, right? We've got our list of things that we are personalizing in the fights, which instantly puts our partner on the defense.
Absolutely. Yeah. Healthy couples understand that they both bring a history, a storehouse, a mansion's worth of wounding and baggage and things that happen in their childhood. And when put with another human who has a mansion of stuff, those two patterns create a third pattern, which is how they relate when they are down and out. How they relate when things are good, how they relate when things are quote unquote bad. And healthy couples can go, oh, we're doing it again.
Yeah.
Here's our moment. And we've had this moment many times where we say, oh, we're hitting our upper limit.
Yeah, we sure
We're doing the thing. It's getting so good that we're about to sabotage this thing. We're going to make sure that we don't feel this good.
Yeah, because it can't feel that good. That came before we even knew each other.
Yep.
You and I both, and every human has a cap on what feels okay, what feels safe to be able to hold. And so we could want, you know, tens of millions of dollars till the cows come home. But if we don't have a body that feels safe to hold that, we're going to sabotage it every time. And you and I, because we both grew up in multi-divorced households with our primary parents getting married and divorced multiple times, number one, we didn't have a single idea of what to do in relationship. And number 2, when things got too good, it felt like, wait, this doesn't happen. This doesn't happen. You can't have good love. You can't have good connection. You can't have good finances, good family, all at the same time. That's not in our programming. And so we have to learn how to reprogram ourselves.
And you know, adding the caveat or an extra piece to this one of naming the problem more than you name the person is having grace for each other. And I want to take a moment just to personally acknowledge you for having grace for me and our relationship when I had a really low, messed up moment. And that actually taught me more than a lot of, I would say almost all the relationships combined, because what we're sort of patterned and taught is whoever makes the biggest mistake, that person gets ousted. They get thrown out of the community. The love gets taken away. There's no forgiveness for the terrible person. And I was in some ways expecting that. Like, oh, here we go. Here's where I get, thrown to the side. And to feel you loving me past my mistakes, to feel you committing to me, to us, and to yourself by way of our relationship, it broke me in a really good way. And it was hard to digest at first, and it's a part of what we do for each other. Like, you're currently in perimenopause.
Yes, I am.
Yes, let's go. And there's a level of, like, I don't know how far, but I want to say infinite grace for that process. One, I don't get to have all these beautiful children, all this feminine radiance, all of this amazingness, and then go, oh, now that it's outside the box or the lines that I've become used to, let's get rid of this.
Right.
Let me go find a younger, newer version so that I don't have to deal with lifing through the feminine.
Yeah.
Right? I signed up for the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so, I'm trying to do my best to hold and be graceful and hold grace for you as you move through this beautiful, sometimes really challenging process.
Yeah, sleep deprivation for weeks on end, all the things. But yeah, it is. It's again, if we're really like centering on the pattern, not the person, getting and understanding that the person is going to be going through life stages, right? They're going to have low moments. They're going to have hard seasons. They're going to be going through identity shifts and challenges, right? Like there's a million identity shifts that people will go through in partnership with each other long term. And having grace for that, while also knowing that that person in a very brand new season, whether it's an up or down season, still has these patterns. And these patterns are shifting and morphing based on the season they're in. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's such a complicated puzzle, where it's like, okay, I have to have grace. I have to understand, like, if I believe that my partner truly does mean well, but maybe they don't know how to do better at this season, or don't have the tools, or are really stuck in the mud right now, what's my commitment? And I think we do live in a society, like you said, that's like throwaway culture of like, oh, well, this is getting too hard for me. It would just be easier for me to, throw up my deuces and walk away, versus, this is an invitation for me to learn how to love wider and deeper. And I think that's what's really grown us and will continue to grow us as we go through these seasons.
Yeah, to just put a cap on that, to me, that is the definition of the art of love.
Yeah.
Right? Just being in the expansion of it. Moving out of the binary Disney thing that we've been sold, and really owning and playing with, this is love. This is relationship. It comes with ups, downs, left, rights. It comes with the profane and the profound. And how I hold this is the art of love.
That, and just to speak on this for a moment, I think it's really important that we highlight an older concept in relationships, which is, if this person loved me, they should never hurt me. Right? I think that's kind of like written somewhere unconsciously in the rule book of relationships for thousands of years. It's kind of in this unwritten code. And when that unwritten code is kind of bumping up against the reality of humans being close in proximity, physically, close emotionally, and close intimately, like having the vulnerability of like, oh my gosh, this is the most important person in my life. Of course there's going to be hurt. Of course there's going to be hurt feelings. There's going to be patterns and wounding that shows up. Of course. And so I think part of this habit number 2 is having an undertone of like, yeah, relationships are going to come with some hard stuff. It's going to make me face off with the parts of myself that feel the most vulnerable, the most scared of being abandoned or rejected. And that's going to be sticky. And I've got to expect that. Because if I don't expect that, and I'm expecting rainbows, unicorns, and butterflies, I'm now fighting against the programming of a society that's like, well, this should just be all perfect when you find your person.
Facts.
And then the resistance to the invitations that conflict comes with get lost.
So. I want to take a moment right now and invite anybody who's listening or watching this podcast who's saying to themselves, wow, this is awesome, or this is interesting, or this is deep, and I don't know how to do it. If you are in that position right now, I want to personally invite you into our community. It's called Relationship Rewired. It is a dojo and an arena where like-minded, powerful couples get to learn and grow together by way of coaching with us and a lot of other beautiful things. So if you're watching or listening to this and you are saying, hey, I actually don't want to do this alone anymore, check the link in the show notes or go to thebridgetolove.com, thebridgetolove.com, and put in podcast, and we'll hook you up on the other side.
All right. Healthy habit number 3 is couples repair often and in small ways. I think a lot of couples, and this is a skill that took us a long time to learn, and we're still in the practice of this, right? Where you don't want to wait for things to just keep piling up under the rug. The rug's getting bigger. Soon there's a mountain in your living room and you're like, how did we get here? You know? And we've talked about this in other episodes, but resentment was one of the killers of our first version of our marriage,
Yes.
our marriage 1.0. Resentment was at the root of everything wrong that happened. And when we have a culture of repairing small and often, what that does is it creates this like, hey, I see you. Hey, I got you. It's like a high five across the table of like, yo, we're still on the same team.
Yep.
Like, we got this, we're doing the work. And it's almost like sweeping the floor every day to make sure that the crumbs don't pile up and the dog hair doesn't get fluffy in the corner.
That's
we know from experience.
Yes, we do. Yes. Repair is in many ways the lifeblood of a relationship, in that it links everything back together.
Yeah.
Right? If you think about, a body of water without an inlet or an outlet is a swamp, and swamps carry disease. When there is an inlet or an outlet, meaning there's space to go, hey, I noticed that I was a little snappy earlier, right? We now create flow. Hey, I noticed that I was a bit defensive. I'm sorry. Hey, I probably need to take a break because there's a lot going on for me right now, and I'm going to throw one of these kids out the window, right? These things create flow in the relationship.
Yeah.
And, the story I make up is that most of us did not grow up in households where we saw healthy repair. Right. I grew up, from, born to 9 years old, my parents fought a lot. And when they got a divorce, I was relieved. And when the judge said, who do you want to go with? I'll go with my dad, because I was at that age where a boy wants to be around his father. What I was saying under what I was saying as a 9-year-old was, I experienced at that time, my mom is not like this anymore, but I experienced my mom at that time as very self-righteous and not that willing to own that much. It was her world. She was a very strict, awesome Virgo woman. And I wanted to be with my dad where there was a little more spaciousness and a little more like, hey, yes, I'm an adult, but you're also a sovereign being. Why this matters is because I was a child and I could perceive and pick up on where there would be flow and where there would be no flow. I was like, hey, if I stay over here, I'm going to be in jail.
Right.
If I go over here, there's going to be space for me to be human and for them to be human and for them to own stuff. I've told this story in podcasts before, and I'll briefly tell it right now. My dad caught me smoking weed when I was 11 years old, and he sat me down and he said, I'm going to give you 24 hours to think about whether you want the life of the people smoke weed. Because you told me you want to be like Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan. I want you to think about the people who smoke weed and the people who don't. And we're going to talk tomorrow. And I tell the part of the story where he says, you're a leader. If everybody else is going left, you go right. He pours into me. And at one point he says, I have no problem with marijuana. I do it sometimes. Your uncles do it. And what I want you to hear is that you're a boy and you're going to make mistakes. People make mistakes. Dad has made mistakes. But you always have choice in the matter. And he poured into me. That part of the story I never really highlight, but him basically framing a space for me to be human was a part of why I wanted to be with my dad despite his drugs and cheating of everything he could possibly do. My dad would cut any corner and steal and do stuff that was not awesome, but he's also a really genuine, loving dude. And so
he was a Rolling Stone.
He was for sure. My dad was off the charts.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting as you bring that up. I think what highlights for me is that part. And I think about our work that we do now, the part around like it's okay to be human and humans make mistakes. I think that's a big through line of the work that we do in Bridge, which is our embodiment workshops, is we're teaching people, maybe for the first time ever, it's okay to be human. It's okay to feel. It's okay to have grief for the things you've done. It's okay to be human. And that is not something that I got growing up. And as you were telling that story, I'm like, I don't think I ever got told it's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to be human, for sure. But I certainly didn't get modeled it. Like I got modeled, there is no room for mistakes. You have to be perfect. You have to hit the mark every single time. And if you don't, why'd you miss? And so it's like this level of like, oh my gosh, I can't miss. And if I miss, there's so much shame in that, right? And so it's interesting in thinking about repair, couples coming in, like you and I have very different backgrounds on that, right? Where if you have someone coming in who's more like me, who grew up in a more like perfection, over accomplishment, overachieving environment, where you're going to come in really trying to get it right. And when we don't get it right, which is going to be often, we're going to feel a level of shame and like, oh my God, I can't believe I failed. Failure is bad. I must be the worst partner ever. And that literally was me in our relationship early on, is like so much self beat up, so much trying to get it right, so much researching and reading books and listening to podcasts, trying to figure out the right way to do relationship. So that I didn't keep feeling like I was failing. And it's interesting, right? Like this isn't right or wrong, good or bad, but it's just interesting to notice that was a part of my pattern that was getting in the way of true intimacy. Because then I couldn't bring it to you and be like, hey, P, I think I messed up over here, because there was so much shame around like, oh, I can't tell you I messed up, because then you're going to think I'm a bad person. So I got to fix it first and then I'll come back better. And we won't talk about it. And you'll just feel it.
Yeah. This is big. It's really big. And for anybody out there who's, your juices are swirling right now, if you are on YouTube or watching this somewhere, leave a comment. If you're on social media, share something in your stories and just tag us at Alexi Panos, at Preston Smiles, or at the Bridge to Love podcast. There's a lot in these spaces. And again, I'm just grateful that I get to be in the dance with you.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Okay, now we're going to move on to number 4, which is they protect polarity on purpose.
Let's talk about polarity.
Yeah. The interesting thing, and we know this, is that safety is like the backbone of love.
Foundation.
The foundation of relationship. Polarity makes it exciting.
Yeah.
Polarity keeps the juices flowing.
You know what I just thought about? If safety is like the foundation and the structure of a house, polarity is like the design inside, right? So like you could live in a box of white walls with like basic furniture, no decor, no artistry, no like people walk in your place and they're like, oh, does a college kid live here? Or they walk in and it's like masterful and it's like, oh, every room evokes something and I feel at home here and there's like this like energy and this aliveness here. It's the difference between like really feeling like, oh, I have what I need, and like, oh, I feel so alive and energized here.
the modern relationship is not set up for easy polarity.
It is not. It's set up for merging. And merging is not sexy. Like we live in a very nuclear setup for most couples, especially most families, where we become a silo unto ourselves, where it's like us against the world. And like there's some beauty in that. And we are communal animals. We are a communal species. And it's important that we have some sort of separation, just like a fire. A fire needs to have air to stay alive, right? If we suffocate the fire, it is going to go away and we're not going to have that flame anymore. We might have some coals that are burning a little bit, but to keep that fire going, we've got to create some space, some air. We've got to stoke it intentionally to really keep that fire alive. And I think that's part of the thing that we've learned, especially in the last, I would say 4 to 5 years, is we have to be our own fire keepers because there's the fire of the relationship, which we've got to constantly be stoking and giving love and giving energy and presence. But then there's my internal fire. And oftentimes our internal fires are completely out and we're looking at the relationship fire going, why is this so low?
Yes.
Why do we only have like coals that are kind of lit up a little bit? Like, do something about it. And then we look at our partner and say, do something about it. But the truth is that our inner fire, our inner aliveness, for most of us in modern society is just turned all the way off, right? There's just no space for it. We're so busy working or tending to the house or the kids or the 9 million ways that people can communicate with us now. We're responding to people versus actually living a passion-filled life.
Yeah, when I'm working with men, one of the things that we work on is protecting that man's code. What is the code and the standard that he lives by? And sort of heat-seeking missile to where he's selling out on what's true for him in order to get the nice guy, good boy check mark from his girlfriend, wife, partner. And it makes sense given how most of us grew up. I've shared this story before. I remember being like 5 years old, walking down the street with my mom and her saying, Preston, where am I at? What's wrong here? And, I'm 5. I had no clue what she's talking
You're
about.
like, I don't know. We're at the street.
Yes. And she's like, a woman never walks on the outside of the sidewalk. You protect women. And I got this sort of programming that when women are around, I'm on duty. When women are around, they're more important than my personal needs. When women are around, I sell out on myself to make sure that I protect and take care of women. And so growing up as a child, I wanted, it's like a push-pull. You want, you feel this urge to merge. You want to be a boyfriend and you want to be with girls and you want to look at their boobies and all the things. And I also felt repelled. I'm like, I can't be me then.
Right.
I can't be me if I have to be on duty every time women are around. And so I got these sort of mixed messages, and I don't think I'm alone. I think that a lot of fathers sold out on their families very early and checked out, and we got raised by Homer Simpson and a bunch of weak, flabby,
Al Bundy,
terrible examples of a man. And therefore, all these well-meaning mothers unconsciously beat out the masculine of these little boys, and therefore they became secret porn addicts and secret, all these different things. And it became this secret world that when women are around, then I can be something. And to me, a part of the polarity is being willing to have your partner be mad at you for protecting your codes. So it doesn't mean you don't compromise. It doesn't mean that you don't figure out a way to make it feel good for everybody. But there are so many men, and I can think of one that we know that, I won't say too much, who walks around like a little puppy dog behind his partner, and it's not sexy.
Yeah.
She controls him like a little puppet.
Yeah.
And it's not sexy. And I don't think that those kind of relationships last very long because he doesn't have backbone.
Right.
And I can say and own that there's been plenty of years where I tried to figure out figure out how to make you happy so that I could finally be who I want to be.
Right.
And that in itself was destructive and did the opposite of what I wanted.
Yeah, and it creates distrust ultimately, right? Like sometimes we can't name it, but as a partner, and I've got my version of this too, which I'll share about, but as a partner, feeling the try and feeling the like, okay, what do I need to do? And like the over functioning and not feeling, also feeling that there's like this part of you that's missing. We can feel that, especially as women. I think we can attune to that. And then this creates this level of like, there's something I don't have. There's something that's not here. And I can't quite put my finger on it, but I can't land safely in this space because I can feel that. And, you know, I think women have their own version of that as well. And whenever I'm working with women specifically around aliveness and cultivating aliveness in their life, the first thing I do is say, okay, well, let's start centering you. Because women, we're enculturated to center everybody else. Our upbringing, society, everything tells us our role is to be in service to society, to our men, to our children, to our work, like be in service. And so we are outwardly focused like this. We're also more relationally focused, so it makes sense. But oftentimes we don't even have a clue as to what we want. And so a lot of the women I work with, when we start really decentering everyone else and we start to look at like, who is this woman? Who is this sovereign woman? What is she like? What is she interested in? The first thing 99% of women say is, I have no idea. And then there's a grief around the idea that we have no idea who we are outside of our relationships. And that's a really scary place to be in. I know I found myself in that place where I'm like, who am I outside of relationship? Like, what do I like? Because my entire world, my entire schedule is set up around centering and taking care of everybody in my life. And that's not wrong or bad. But if there's no space for me in that equation, we got a problem, right? And there's no space for polarity if there's no human to really bring her own aliveness into the equation.
For years, I did transcendental meditation. And we would talk about the path of the householder versus the monk that sits up on the mountain, right? As a householder, it's not that I need to figure out how to escape my life. It's how do I figure out how to bring my art to my life? How do I bring my aliveness and my style to parenting, my style to sensuality, my style and energy body to any given situation? I think so many people, men and women, are so far away from it that they're just sort of parroting. They're parroting what they've seen. They're watching porn. You know, you think about how many of those surgeries that, you know, people have gotten to try to make their
labiaplasty.
Because they're consuming this and thinking, oh, well, the guys like it, so maybe I should get it. And it's like there's a whole conversation about getting a high value man or a high value woman. To me, it has less to do with the amount of money somebody has,
100%,
and how they dress and all that stuff. And
it's all superficial.
Exactly, and more to do with how they value themselves.
100%. I think that's the biggest thing, right? Because once a man or a woman comes into themselves fully and starts to honor their code or honor their own aliveness and really start to tend to their own fire inside, it changes how they move through the world. And that's the thing. Like, I work with women who own businesses. I work with mothers. I work with people who have really high stress, high capacity lives. And I help them find pleasure. Why? Because that single seed, that little flame turned on again inside of them, changes how they do everything. It changes how they work, how they relate, how they mother, how they clean their house, everything. Because that little spark is often the thing that's missing from life. And it's why everyday things that we all have to do as human beings start to feel really trite and deafening and maddening almost if we're disconnected from that sense of aliveness. But that same activity of washing the dishes or folding the laundry or having a conversation with a friend can be infused with so much magic if you're bringing your own light. So just a final note on polarity, especially for our couples that are in long-term monogamous relationships, especially those of you with kids. One thing that you can do right away is make sure all your touch is not like obligatory touch, like passing off a baby to the other person or handing someone a backpack or a lunchbox. Like, make sure there is intentional touch outside of the obligations of having to get through your life. Also, make sure there's intentional conversation outside of the obligatory conversations of like picking up the kids and routines and, hey, what are we making for dinner tonight? Like, all that's fine and it's a part of life, but make sure you're having content outside of the everyday roommate stuff, because that's how couples become roommates, is they literally get stuck in the everyday obligatory role, and they miss that, hey, just with a little intentionality, you could have stayed out of that.
Facts. Yes to date nights. Don't have them be routine.
Yeah. I often say like date nights are no good if you like hate each other and you're sitting across from each other as well. So don't think date nights are like a solve.
Yes. Have things that you look forward to as a couple.
That.
Have shared playful things that can go in either direction. And I think about, for example, you and I every once in a while will play Scrabble, right?
Yeah.
And she's competitive, I'm competitive.
Yeah.
I'm trying to...
Don't let me do charades, because I will crush every time.
That is true. That is true, right? But there's all of that keeps the spark and the connection alive as well.
Yeah.
And fellas, polarity especially is true for women way before you get to the sex part. And so
that is 100% true.
Figuring out what turns your woman on that has nothing to do with penetration and all of that, and doing it on purpose, but doing it artful as a gift to her, and because it feels good to you. Like sometimes, for example, I stalk her without her knowing. I will watch her in a particular kind of way. I will breathe her in a particular kind of way. Myself and our son Zai are obsessed with her booty, so I will also just walk by and grab her butt. Zai's 5, and yes, he just wants to put his head on it, and it's a whole thing that we laugh about.
You know, I'm gonna hook some men up right now, but this is also for the ladies. We talk about turn on as if it's like this button that's just like on. But I think it's important to note that a woman's body and nervous system does not turn on if her hypervigilance is on. So one of the best ways to turn a woman on, and women, this is for you too, solo, best ways to turn yourself on is to turn survival mode off. And that's often what has to happen first. Like, oh, I got to turn survival mode off so that the switch can go to on in another direction. And that's what a lot of men miss. A lot of men miss that their woman, especially the modern woman, is living in survival mode. And that's one of the reasons why turn on is really hard for a woman to get to naturally, because there's a million other things. She walks into the house, she sees clutter as a problem to her nervous system. It's not that she's OCD. It's not that she's X, Y, and Z. It literally is like, I can't turn this off until this is clean. And so just knowing that, I think, helps male partners a lot. And I think women knowing that there's a responsibility we have for ourselves to really catch ourselves in survival mode and go, okay, I'm like way too in my urgency right now. I'm way too stressed out right now. What do I need to do, again, to stoke my own fire, turn survival mode off, start bringing some air and life to the flame inside, called aliveness and turn on. And that is our job first. But as a partner, we can also be really helpful to our women in that way.
Facts. So there you have it, beautiful souls. We have the 4 habits of healthy couples. If anything in this episode resonated with you and you feel like you want to share it, that would be really beautiful. If you're not subscribed to our channel and space, please do so. A good portion of people aren't, but they are consuming. So make sure you do that. And if you know that you don't want to do relationship by yourself, if you know you're in one of those spaces where you're realizing that learning and growing with other people is super important, please do yourself a favor and go to thebridgetolove.com and join our community. Drop the word podcast in the coupon section and we'll hook you up. This community is so powerful and so beautiful, and people get so many breakthroughs from watching other couples get coached, get supported, hearing from the problems of other people and realizing that you're not alone, and working through solutions and continuing to lean in on a monthly basis will change everything. So, thank you. We love you, and we'll see you on the other side.